Some relief for stocks on Wall Street as the Dow Jones snaps a 3-day losing streak and the Nasdaq outperforms as bond yields retreat from a 16-year high. Private payroll data also indicates some loosening of the labor market. Stocks in the Asia-Pacific open largely higher. Markets in China remain shut for trade, while the GIFT Nifty is indicating a slightly higher start for the Indian markets. Oil prices fall the most in a year in overnight trade after an OPEC Plus panel maintains output cuts, deciding to keep supply tight. Brent crude slides towards the $85 a barrel mark. Oil Minister Hardeep Singh Puri at an oil and gas conference on Wednesday said prices going above $100 a barrel will lead to organized chaos, but India will be able to manage the situation. The GST Council is likely to deliberate a proposal to levy 18% GST on corporate guarantee extended by holding companies and subsidiaries. Relief for liquor companies may also be on the cards, with GST on molasses likely to be slashed to 5% from 28%. Sources say the Fitment Committee has also turned down the industry's proposal, seeking 5% tax on EV batteries instead of 18%. Flash floods in the Teesta River leaves at least 8 dead, while 82 people, including 22 army personnel, are still missing. Chief Minister Prem Singh Tamang holds a high-level meet to discuss relief measures. School is in 4 districts, including Gangtok, will remain shut this week, with rescue operations underway. Also on the show today, the Cricket World Cup gets underway with a grudge match between the 2019 finalists England and New Zealand facing off at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. We'll tell you more later on the show. It's the weekly options expiry session. The Nifty is at crucial levels. Plenty of stocks to react to, but more importantly, the World Cup begins today. We'll tell you all in the next 30 minutes. Good morning to everyone. This is Power Breakfast in the Mumbai newsroom. I am Hormuz Fatakia. But first up, let's take a look at how the Asian markets are doing. They've opened slightly higher today after the drop that we saw yesterday. The Taiwan index, as you can see, is up 0.7%. The Hang Seng is also rebounding from the drop that we saw on Wednesday. Japanese markets were also trading higher on last check, but the Chinese markets continue to remain shut because of the long holiday. But also in the US markets, the Asian markets are trading higher also because the US markets did well last night after the drop that we saw on Tuesday. The key indices ended Wednesday's trading session sharply higher in a broad-based relief rally. The Dow Jones closed with gains of around 120 points, snapping a 3-day losing streak. The S&P 500, as we mentioned yesterday, was very close to its 200 DMA. It rebounded from those levels, ending 0.8% higher. And tech stocks led the rally on the Nasdaq, resulting in gains of over 1.3%. Private payrolls data also came in below estimates, signaling that the labor market could be cooling and may prompt the Federal Reserve to stop raising interest rates. Now, let's get you some important opinions on macros. Listen in to Michael Ferroli of JP Morgan, who talks about the prospects of a soft landing versus a recession in the U.S.
We and other forecasters have been kind of bouncing between soft landing or mild recession. We may be leaning a little more toward the mild recession rather than the soft landing. What we've seen in markets lately probably reinforces our conviction in that even if we do get some better data between now and the early November meeting, we think they've probably seen enough damage here, or implied damage from financial conditions to the broader economy, that they're going to be comfortable, we believe, on hold for the rest of the year.
That was the global market action from overnight and this morning. But how will all of this impact the Indian markets? We'll have our team of researchers from CNBC TV 18 joining in, who will tell you all about the trade setup and the stocks that we need to watch out for in today's session. First up, Vivek joins in to give us all the market cues this morning. Good morning, Vivek. What do you have for us?
Well, good morning. Finally, after so many days of very weak overnight cues, today we have a session where there has been a bit of a relief rally in equity markets worldwide, and on the back of that, we are taking slightly positive cues into our own trading session today. Yesterday, U.S. markets managed to bounce back from, after turning negative for 2023. The Nasdaq was the top outperformer, gaining over 1.5%. Oil prices yesterday also saw quite a bit of a sell-off. So what actually happened was that Brent futures fell over 5.5%, now hovering around the $85.5 a barrel mark. But talking about the Indian markets yesterday, the opening was in tandem with the global markets. Very weak opening, saw significant sell-off, gave up crucial levels of 19,500 as well. In the second half of the trading session, there was a bit of a pullback rally, and that is something that market participants will take a little bit of hope from going into today's trading session. However, in yesterday's trading session, well, the story was that the mid-cap and the small-cap stocks actually bore the pressure and the brunt of the selling pressure, both of them underperforming significantly. Banks traded mixed in yesterday's trading session. HDFC Bank outperformed, Axis Bank underperformed significantly, and the NBFC Bank, entire NBFC Bank, saw significant selling pressure. Now, some events to keep an eye out for in today's trading session. The S&P Services PMI is due today. Asian markets indicating a mild rally, and GIFT Nifty 2 is indicating a positive start for our own markets today.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Vivek. The Nifty Bank will be the one to watch out for, because on a day when HDFC Bank was up 2%, the Nifty Bank was down nearly 500 points. But now over to Surbhi, who would list out the stocks to watch out for in today's session. Morning, Surbhi. Business updates continue on the fly. What do you have for us this morning?
That's right. Business updates continue. First one on my radar is Marico. It's a mixed bag. There's soft top line, but the margins are strong. Demand trends largely mirrored in what was in Q1. That's what the company said. And the domestic revenues were lower. Volumes grew in low single digits. RBL Bank, the total deposits were up 13% on a year-on-year basis. CASA was up 12%. L&T Finance Holdings retail disbursements were up 32% in Q2, and the retail book was up 33%. PNB, the total deposits were up nearly 10%, and the CASA was up 3% on a year-on-year basis. Bandhan Bank, the loans and advances were up 4%, and the total deposits were up 3%. IEX released their September business update. They said the September total electricity volume was up 13%, and the market clearing prices were up 11%. And lastly, Indus Towers will also be on our radar. ET report suggests that the company has told the telecom regulator that it may restrict services to Vodafone Idea, and they will explore legal remedies to speed up the recovery of the receivables as well.
We'll keep an eye out for all of these stocks. Thanks a lot, Surbhi. And speaking of Vodafone Idea, that's the stock that we'll keep an eye out for specifically, because CNBC TV18 actually sent queries to Vodafone Idea, and they had actually denied making any delayed payments for the month of both July and August. But now up to the FNO queues now. Nigel D'Souza is here with us as always. Nigel, good morning. You had highlighted 19,450 yesterday as the key support level. We are exactly there. What do you have for us today? Is a rebound in store?
Well, that's right. Hormuz, it's good to get things right? I said that 19,450, the bulls will be happy if we end around those levels. And that's precisely what happened. What they'll be happier with is what's happened overnight. I was listening into the cues that you were laying out. Yields are lower. You have crude oil prices that have cooled off, and the dollar index a little bit weaker as well. And guess what? The GIFT 50 is not suggesting that we're going to see a big gap up. I think that's good, because it gives the bulls a chance to get in. What transpired yesterday, though? You had the premium on the Nifty futures that came down. Remember, a few sessions ago, it was more than 70. That's come down to around 25, 30 points odd. And yesterday, it was clear that the Nifty Bank came in for some special shorting, because the open interest build up on the Nifty after ending lower by close to 100 points was only around 3%. But on the Nifty Bank, there was a 30% open interest build up. And if you just tie it in what the FIs are doing, well, yesterday as well, they added close to 15,000 short contracts in the ratio of 2 shorts for every 1 long position. And now the short positioning is at around 75% approximately. I'll tell you what, this is not such a bad thing when you have a net short market, because some bit of good news could be forced, the FIs to cover out some of the short positioning. Just take a look at that. A few sessions ago, the net short positions were only around 20,000 contracts. That's moved to around 92,000 contracts. In the month of April, we saw these contracts, the net short positioning, go to around 1 lakh contracts, and from there, we did see a bit bounce. So just keep an eye out. When the FIs get over bearish, that's what could be the trigger that the bulls are looking for. Then yesterday, 19,400 put as well as the 19,450 call, well, they were fairly active in trade. So let's get straight to the levels then. Yesterday's low becomes very, very important. That's around 19,330. Resistance, though, comes in at around 19,510. I say this because there was writing in 19,450 call. And the other level that we're looking at is the 50 DMA. So the first resistance and the second resistance comes up for you on the screen. The sense you get today is, if you get a bit of a dip, you'll need to get in and you need to back yourself. Keep your stop losses in place, and let's see how that goes. Back to you.
Keep your stop losses in place. That's the motto always, as is Nigel. Thank you so much for joining in. Let's slip into a break. Up next, the GST Council is likely to deliberate on a proposal to levy 18% GST on corporate guarantee extended by holding companies or subsidiaries. More on that on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast right here on CNBC TV 18. Pull up the GIF Nifty once. Nigel was mentioning 19,450, a crucial level. Implied open 23 points higher. So we are in for a slightly higher opening today. But moving on, a crucial GST Council meeting is slated to be held this weekend. We learn from sources that the Council is likely to deliberate on a proposal to levy 18% GST on corporate guarantees extended by holding companies or their subsidiaries. Timsi Jaipuria is here with more details. Timsi, over to you.
Well, in what could be a big blow for the industry in the upcoming GST Council, what we are given to understand from sources is that the Council is likely to deliberate on the proposal to levy 18% GST on corporate guarantee extended by holding companies or subsidiaries. Similarly, levying 18% GST on personal guarantee given by promoters or directors against loans taken or given by banks. Now, this is something that was indirectly already there for PSUs. In 2018, there was a circular that PSUs will be charged 18% in these two scenarios, but now the law committee nominated by GST Council, they had a case where a lot of these proposals were coming in for clarity, and now this is going to be applicable pan-industry. So the council-nominated law committee is of a view that extending corporate or personal guarantee is a related party transaction and it should be considered as a supply. So given this, considering that it will be a deemed supply, 18% GST is warranted. And for ease in valuation, the Council is likely to consider bank commission as a standard basis to calculate the GST liability. Let's see how the industry actually reacts to this, because it is going to increase the cost that the industry incurs to obtain a loan. Back to you.
Timsi, thanks a lot for joining in. And that might just be one of the agendas on the GST Council, because the liquor industry could get a breather following the GST meet, with the Council likely to consider reducing taxes on molasses to 5% from 28%. It may also clarify that it has no intent to tax extra neutral alcohol, which is used to manufacture alcoholic beverages. Moving on now, Manisha Gupta is joining us with all the updates from the commodity space. Good morning, Manisha. The crude prices fell the most in almost a year overnight now. Brent is near 85. What do you have for us this morning?
Oh, well, absolutely, Hormuz. I mean, we've been saying that while the momentum is on the higher side, but crude definitely has been overbought, especially posting a 27% of gain in the previous quarter itself. So the start of October clearly has been on the weaker side. I mean, we did see crude prices gain up by 9% for the month of September. With the 5% overnight decline, we are down 8% in the month of October right now. Well, various factors which triggered that as well. To begin with, you have Russia, which is saying that they may lift the diesel ban in coming days. OPEC and allies have made no changes in the group output policy. The meeting was held yesterday. And the U.S. crude stocks, in the meanwhile, have seen a decline. But the gasoline stocks have seen the biggest build in 2 years, telling you that the demand really seems to be slowing down. So we are staring at a place where we are looking at inventories rising, demand declining, and output increases coming in from OPEC and allies and other countries like Iraq, Iran, Nigeria, Turkey, etc. And finally, some hedge fund profit taking also is weighing onto the prices.
Thanks a lot for that, Manisha. And crude prices cooling off is certainly good news for a lot of paint companies, OMCs. We'll keep all of that on our radar this morning. But time for a short break here on Power Breakfast. On the other side, we'll get you all the latest updates from the floods in Sikkim. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast right here on CNBC TV 18. Now, at least 8 people have died, while 82 others, including 22 army personnel, have been reported missing in North Sikkim after a cloudburst over the Lonhak Lake triggered massive flash floods in the region. Chief Minister Prem Singh Tamang held a meeting with authorities to assess the situation, even as rescue operations are underway to trace the missing. The largest hydropower project in the state also suffered severe damage, as parts of the Tista Dam too were washed away. Now, if you are a sports fan, here's some good news for you. Indian athletes have secured their biggest ever medal haul at the Asian Games. Yesterday, Neeraj Chopra won another gold in javelin throw, while Kishore Kumar Jena claimed silver. India's 4x100-meter relay team also won gold, taking India's medal tally past 80, which includes 18 gold medals, comfortably shattering its previous record of 70 medals it won at the 2018 Asian Games. In fact, the 18 gold medals are also the highest ever they've won ever in any edition of the Asian Games. 10 teams, 10 venues and 7 weeks of non-stop cricket. The biggest cricketing extravaganza, the most awaited event for all cricket lovers. The Cricket World Cup begins today at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. The first game will be a grudge match of sorts with the 2019 finalists England and New Zealand kickstarting the gala event. India will play its first game against Australia on Sunday, the 8th of October in Chennai. This World Cup will be played in a round-robin format where all the teams will play one game against each other, post which the top 4 teams will progress to the semi-finals. The World Cup final will also be played at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad on the 19th of November. The reports also indicate that there is no opening ceremony that will be held for this event. We will bring you all the live action, match previews and a host of other World Cup trivia on our website, cnbctv18.com. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Power Breakfast. We head into Bazaar Morning Call with a lot of positive cues. We'll set you up for all the trading action today. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Power Breakfast from myself and the team that put this show together. Thank you so much for watching.